You don't feel sick. You don't feel weak. You're not exhausted or out of control around food. You're doing most things right. You eat reasonable portions. You don't binge. You haven't suddenly started living on junk. And yet, slowly, almost quietly, your body feels heavier. Not overnight. Not dramatically. Just enough that your clothes fit differently. Just enough that the scale creeps up when you weren't expecting it. Nothing feels wrong. But something important has changed. Most people assume weight gain only happens when you eat more. More calories. More snacks. More indulgence. And that belief isn't wrong. It's just incomplete. Because the human body doesn't respond to food like a simple math equation. It responds to signals. Timing. Stress. Sleep. Repetition. And over time, those signals can shift how your body uses the food you're already eating. This is where many healthy people get confused. They're not overeating. They're not careless. But their metabolism has quietly adapted in a way they didn't notice. To understand how this happens, we have to slow down and look at the process step by step, not from the outside, but from inside the body. The first shift usually begins with something that feels harmless: consistency. You eat around the same times every day, similar meals, similar portions. Your body loves patterns. In metabolic research, predictable input leads to predictable output. Hormones learn your routine. Energy systems become efficient at handling what they expect. This is often framed as a good thing, and in many ways, it is. Stability supports digestion, blood sugar control, and appetite regulation. But here's the myth that needs correcting. Consistency alone doesn't guarantee metabolic neutrality. When the body becomes extremely good at anticipating energy, it often becomes more efficient at storing it too. Not because you're eating too much, but because the system has learned that storage is safe. Insulin sensitivity plays a role here, but not in a dramatic or pathological way. Even in healthy individuals, repeated identical signals can slightly reduce how aggressively energy is burned and slightly increase how readily it's saved. This doesn't happen to everyone at the same speed. People with higher baseline muscle mass, higher daily movement, or better sleep often buffer this effect longer. Others, especially under chronic stress or poor sleep, may notice it sooner. Nothing breaks. Nothing fails. The system just adapts. The next phase is quieter and more misunderstood: subconscious movement changes. When people think about activity, they think about workouts. But a large portion of daily energy use comes from small, unconscious movements. Posture shifts, fidgeting, walking pace, even how animated you are when you talk. In controlled human studies, when energy intake stays the same but routines become more repetitive or mentally demanding, these small movements often decline without awareness. You're still exercising. You're still active. But outside of that hour, your body conserves. This corrects another common myth: that intentional exercise fully offsets daily metabolism. For many people, the body subtly compensates. Not to sabotage you, but to maintain balance under perceived load. Who experiences this most strongly? People with high cognitive stress, long screen time, or irregular sleep schedules. Their nervous system prioritizes calm and efficiency, not spontaneous movement. Then there's timing, not restriction, not fasting extremes, just timing. When meals are evenly spread across long waking hours, insulin exposure stays mildly elevated for much of the day. Not high, just persistent. In metabolic research, prolonged mild insulin signaling nudges the body towards storage mode, especially when paired with low recovery or stress. This doesn't mean eating frequently is bad. For some people, especially those with high energy needs or fasting intolerance, it's stabilizing. But the myth here is that frequency doesn't matter at all. For some healthy individuals, especially as they age or under stress, constant intake reduces metabolic flexibility, the ability to switch smoothly between fuel sources. Instead of burning stored energy between meals, the body waits for the next input. Weight gain, in this context, isn't excess. It's postponed usage. Hormones are involved here too, but not in a dramatic imbalance. Cortisol, leptin, and thyroid signals shift subtly based on sleep, stress, and meal rhythm. Someone sleeping 6 hours with high mental load may store more than someone sleeping 8 hours, eating the same food. Same intake, different internal message. Another layer is muscle signaling. Muscle tissue isn't just for movement. It's a metabolic organ. It tells the body how much energy is needed and where fuel should go. When muscle activation becomes repetitive or limited to the same patterns, those signals weaken slightly. Not enough to feel weak, just enough to reduce daily energy demand. This corrects the myth that having muscle is enough. Muscle needs varied signals to stay metabolically demanding. Who notices this more? People who train the same way for years without variation. They stay fit, but metabolic output plateaus. Then there's digestion itself. As the gut adapts to familiar foods, absorption efficiency can increase. This is rarely discussed, but it's a known adaptation. Your body gets better at extracting energy from what it recognizes. So the same meal that once left more behind now delivers slightly more usable fuel. Not dramatically, not overnight, but consistently. The myth here is that calorie content is fixed in practice. In reality, absorption varies with adaptation, gut health, and stress. Now, stress deserves special attention. Not acute stress, but background stress. The kind that doesn't feel overwhelming. Emails, deadlines, mental load, always on, never panicked. In this state, the body subtly prioritizes energy conservation. Fat storage becomes a safety buffer. In fasting-adapted individuals with good recovery, this effect is smaller. In people with high stress and poor sleep, it's amplified. Same food, different hormonal context. It's important to say clearly. This doesn't mean stress causes weight gain directly. It changes how the body responds to energy. Pregnancy, perimenopause, medications, and recovery from illness can all shift this response further. So can a history of dieting or eating disorders, where the body is more protective by default. This is why blanket advice fails, and why healthy people often feel confused. There's also an adaptation phase many people misinterpret. When people slightly adjust routines, fewer snacks, longer gaps, different timing, the body may initially resist. Not because it's broken, but because stress hormones rise temporarily. Electrolyte balance shifts. Hunger signals fluctuate. Energy feels uneven. This phase is often mislabeled as slowing metabolism. In reality, it's the nervous system recalibrating. Gradual change matters here. Force creates stress. Stress reinforces storage. This is not an argument for restriction. Food is information and building material. The question is how and when that information is delivered. The final myth to correct is the most important one. That weight gain means something went wrong. In many cases, it means something worked, just not in the way you expected. Your body adapted to protect stability in your current environment. Awareness doesn't mean rebellion. It means listening. This approach is not for everyone. People who are pregnant, under medical treatment, highly stressed, or recovering from disordered eating need different priorities. Health isn't optimization. It's responsiveness. Weight change is not a verdict. It's feedback. When healthy people gain weight without eating more, the answer usually isn't eat less. It's understanding the signals beneath the surface. In the next video, we'll explore why these same patterns help some people thrive and leave others stuck, and what that actually means.